Hello there, running-ears. It's Manny, and we're gonna do just a video on registration. We have 3 registrations coming up. Next week we got Disneyland. I'm sorry. In a little over a month, we have Princess, and in 2 months we have Springtime Surprise. So what I was gonna do is I usually drop one right before this happens, but I think I'm gonna drop one right now, and then I'm just gonna leave it in the links in future videos. But it's basically gonna be my tips. Just insights on registration, so that way you get the best shot at registration. So we're gonna go ahead and go over that. Before we do, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Ask questions. I'm gonna cover as much as I can, but people always ask great questions, so I'm gonna try to go over this as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. So the first part is just gonna be going over what just some general guidelines, and it's going to be what you can do before. When we get to the registration itself, I'm actually going to sit down in my computer and I'm going to be looking at my registrations, because there's no registrations out there that I can actually follow the template. Once they're sold out, so you can't see it. But I can see my registration, so I can go question by question, and I can basically give you guys the insight on what to do there, and just follow it up, because also some of the merchandise has already been leaked out. So I'm going to go over the merchandise that's been leaked out. And guys, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. Whenever they do these, for some reason or another, the quality is not good. I have no idea why they have that. So especially if you're watching it on a big screen or a bigger screen, it doesn't look very good. But I'm going to try to describe it as best as I can and go from there. But again, subscribe to the channel and let's get going. So first off, I'd like to say, before I even say anything, I do not work for runDisney, do not work for Disney. Never have, I'm not sure if I ever will, but as of now, I do not work and have never worked for runDisney. So these are stuff that I have from experience. 17 years of experience of signing up. This is just going to be a disclaimer, so that way you guys don't think I work for Disney, just in case. So the next thing I want to add is that even if you follow all of my tips, everything, you do exactly what I say, it is not a guarantee that you're going to get in. What I do is I give you the tools to give you a better chance of getting in. But what I always tell people, and I'm going to say this now, that for every one person that gets in, there's at least 2, sometimes even up to 4 or 5 people that want that same spot. So when you look at the math, there's going to be some people that are not going to get in. So this is not a guarantee that you're going to follow everything and you're going to get in. It's just that with my experience, this gives you the best shot at getting in. But with that, I'm going to say magical luck to all of you guys. I hope that you get to do it, especially if it's your first one. It's so magical. It's so awesome. But let's continue. So another thing that I encourage you guys to do right now is go, and you can go to any of the races and go to race policies and just take a look at them. There's a lot of race policies there. You should know about them now before you sign up. That way, when you sign up, you don't sit there and say, well, I didn't know this. I wouldn't have signed up if it wasn't, I didn't know this. So that way, you know exactly what you're getting into. And I'm going to highlight some of the more important ones. Before I actually even do that, look at the dates. Look at the dates for the runs. Believe it or not, this is starting to happen a little bit more frequently. People are actually saying, I didn't look at the dates. I can't do it. So because I had something else planned on that day. Again, I always think to myself, I've never signed up for a run not knowing the dates. I know the dates. I kind of say, all right, I'm going to have to, clear out my schedule for those dates. But remember the dates that you're going to actually be doing the run. So now some of the highlights. One of them is going to be no refunds. With that said, there's a pretty big asterisk, or I'm going to say it's a pretty big asterisk, because life happens and you sign up now and you got 6, sometimes even up to 8, 9 months before the run. Things happen. So the first thing I'm going to say is that if you have something that happens that you cannot get out of, it's something that, and God bless, I don't wish anybody any harm or anything, but something happens and somebody gets sick, somebody gets hurt, whatever it is, you're going to have to contact runDisney directly. I see a lot of people posting on Facebook and asking their advice. What I look at it this way is people on Facebook cannot give you a definite answer. They can answer from experience if they have any, but a lot of people like myself, I've never had to go through that. So I always tell people, go to Run Disney. That way you get the definitive answer and not an answer that you want to hear. Then you're going to get it through Facebook, and then when you go, you're going to be disappointed, or you're going to be disappointed because they give you the answer they don't want to on Facebook. Then when you email them, you're going to go, wow, okay, it wasn't as hard as I thought. So again, go and reach out to Run Disney, but understand that as of now, it says no refunds. Another one is not transferable, so you cannot transfer this race. You cannot resell it, all right? If you do, you can get banned, and you can be banned for 1 year, you could be banned for life. I don't know what the policy is. I guess it's by case, but it's not worth it. And then you can get banned from Disney itself. So it would not be worth it, in my opinion, to try to do that. And now think about it, because a lot of people sit there and they get upset, and I've even thought about it myself, saying, why won't they allow us to transfer bibs? And this is why. If they did, you think that signing up next week is going to be difficult? It's going to be 3, 4, 5 times as hard, because all the resellers are going to get in there, and they're going to say, yeah, we're going to transfer you for a fee. And so they're going to end up on Ticketmaster, they're going to end up on eBay, they're going to end up on Craigslist, on down the line. So, and with that said, if you see somebody on social media, on eBay, trying to transfer or sell a bib, it is not legitimate. So do not do that. There is ways of getting in afterward, but that is not one of the ways. So don't try to do that, because if you get there and you have somebody else's name on the registration with your ID, they're not going to give you the bib. So you're going to be disappointed there. If you run when somebody else sells you the bib afterward and they catch you, which they have caught people before, again, you get that little trespass, and to me, it's not worth it. And then the last one I want to go over, again, there's a lot more, so go ahead and read the race policies, is you have to keep a 16-minute mile. With that said, I can tell you with great confidence, it's 16-minute miles from when the last people start, which are known as the balloon ladies, and that is for the 10K on, so 5K is not timed. And I did see for the race policies that they actually encourage you to train at a 15-minute mile. I noticed that a lot of the programs do not have pacing, so that's why I'm doing my pacing and my training videos, which are, those are my regular videos I'm going to do once a week, but I'm not going to go over that. But I was surprised to see that they encourage you to go train at about 15-minute miles. And so that's one of the things that you got to look at. If you are right now walking at a 20-minute mile pace, and you're not sure if you're going to be able to get to that pace, that's another reason that I think to myself, if you want to challenge yourself, go ahead and do so. If you're battling injuries and stuff, maybe wait for another couple of registrations, so that way you can get better and say, alrighty, now I'm confident that I can be able to hit that mark. So the last thing I want to add before I go on to tips of what you can start doing now is, remember when registration opens. Now for next week, it's going to be June 18th. So that is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. So if you are not in those time zones, make sure that you know where your time zone is. I'm Central, so I know it's 9 a.m. Central. If you're in a different country, make sure that you understand where, what the time zone is. So if you have to get up at midnight, you have to go later on in the afternoon, whatever it is, that you are prepared for this. So that way you don't miss out on. I have done that mistake before, but I was able to get in. So it was funny, but I did that mistake before where I kept thinking it was 10 a.m. and I did not look at it. It was Eastern time, and so I logged in a little bit later, but I was able to get in. Don't do what I did, and know what the time is and the time zone is for your registration time. So now there is things that you could start doing now. So the first one is basically the thing that you need to do is create your account. I'll show you a little snippet on how to do that. It's going to be on the Run Disney page, and let's take a look. So you're going to go to runDisney.com on the top right hand, just manage account. It's going to bring you to this page. Since I already have an account, I'm going to have to click on the very bottom. It's going to take me to this. This is going to be the original one. Log in or create an account. Now you're going to create an account to continue. So it's going to be pretty obvious right there. Name, address, email address, home address, and so forth. It's going to say at the top, it's going to say create a password. It's going to be the same password that you have for any kind of Disney account you have, including My Disney Experience. So once you have that account, remember this, and I said it before, I'll say it again. If you have a Disney account with Disney Plus, with My Disney Experience, the Disneyland app, the Disneyland page, whatever it is, Shop Disney. It's the same login information, so make sure that you use the same password and the same information, same email. They're going to get you in. You're going to create your account. Make sure that you practice logging in and out every once in a while just to make sure that it's set up and you got step one out of the way. So other things that you could start doing now is testing your Wi-Fi and your data. So I always encourage using multiple devices. So if you have 2 devices, try to have one on data and another one on internet or Wi-Fi, just in case one drops. So like if the data drops, then you still have the internet. If the internet drops, you still have data. And then walk around your place. I know the places where I live, and I know where to get the strongest signal. So I always try to get that. I test it out, day after day, probably the next 5 days, and then the morning of, just to make sure I'm getting a strong signal. So that way you can get that, and just in case it drops, again, you're set up. And that brings me to my next point. So set up a couple of devices. So whether it be a PC, a tablet, a phone, whatever you're going to use, so set those up and be ready with those, and you can start practicing logging in now. Another thing that you can start doing now is prioritizing what runs you want to do. So for example, if you want to do the challenge and the challenge sells out as you're registering, you have the second option. So you're going to go to option 2, which might be the individual half marathon and the 10K. So later on, you can actually get in if it opens up, and you can actually pay the difference. There is a box. It's very, very simple. I've seen it before. You just click on it, upgrade to this. They're going to charge you the difference, and you can get in. If not, you at least have the individual races, and you're set up for them. You register for the half and the 10K. But again, prioritize which runs you're going to do. If you're going for the 10K and you sit there and say, all right, well, I didn't get in, let's see if the 5K is still open. If you're one of those that's a little bit more challenging and say, I didn't get into the 10K, but you know what, I'm going to try to get into the half. But at least prioritize. I would sit there and put at least a couple, 2, 3 of them, just to make sure that you have options in case your race sells out. Now, the other thing you have to prioritize, because a lot of you are going to be going with somebody else. Is it somebody you have to run with or somebody you would like to run with? So for example, if you're running with a family member, let's say you have a child who's 9 and they're going to be doing their first 5K and you got to run with them. So to me, I would prioritize that I have to run with them. So when it comes to registration, I'm going to know what to do. I'm going to go through a registration process one way versus another way. But for example, I have a coworker who I would like to come, but if she doesn't come in or he doesn't come in, that's okay. So that's going to give me another way of registering. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So that's going to give me another way of registering. But again, just prioritize which people you have to have with you and which people you would like to have with you. And the next thing you could do now is practice the payment. So there's going to be different kinds of payments you can take. I know for sure it's a debit, credit card, gift cards, Disney gift cards. So it's Disney gift cards and the Disney redemption card. I'm not sure about the other ones. I know I've used those 4 before. So those 4 are going to be there. So now this is a way I would prepare for payment. I would prepare 2 forms of payment. This is why. You decide you want to get into one run. Let's say you're going to do the challenge, and the challenge is $440. So you have on a debit card $450. So you were prepared to do this, and all of a sudden you get there and it sells out. So it's going to put a hold on that $440. So now you're going to go, let's say, to the half, or the full, whatever, the half and the 10K, whatever it is, and you're going to come in, even if it's cheaper, which it probably would be at that moment in time, it's still not going to let you go because it's going to say insufficient funds because it's put that hold on there. It's not charging you, but it has a hold on there. That's why we say have a second form of payment. This actually, I learned this because I actually saw something on social media where somebody had saved up all their money. They wanted to do a Disney run so bad. I felt so bad for this story. So they put it on one debit card, and then when they couldn't get their race, they went to the secondary race, and guess what? You know, the debit card had a hold on it, so there was nothing they could do about it. I felt so bad for that person. I hope to God that, because this was a couple of years ago, I hope they got in to another run, and they've done it before. If you're out there, please comment down below. But I was rooting for you to get in. But this is why I say 2 forms of payment, so that way it doubles your chance just in case. And the last thing you could do right now is actually start seeing if there's going to be multiple people, make sure that they have multiple stations. They check everything because they can register you and you could register them. So make sure that they're prepared. And final thing, make sure that you got all the information. The one we're going to go through in a little bit, make sure you got all their information. And that way you are ready. That's including your family members, your friends, your relatives, whatever it is. Get their information. And again, I'm going to go over that in a little bit, but make sure that you got all this information. So now we hit the morning of. So we're excited. We get there and we hit the morning of. What I always suggest is at least 15 minutes ahead of time. And I would even say closer to 20 plus minutes. Log in. So you're going to go into your account, you're going to log in, you're going to go back to the registration page, and you're going to start refreshing. You're going to start refreshing the page, and it's going to say registration opening soon. You continuously do that over and over and over. One of these times it's going to open up a bar and it's going to say register here or something, a registration, something like that. But it's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, it's either a green or a blue bar, and you're going to click on it. It does not matter. The first one that clicks on, go ahead and get on that one. So if you're going to be doing the challenge and the 5K opens up, go ahead and click on that one, because it's going to take you to the same page and you can actually switch it around. But before you get onto that page, you're going to go through the spinning queue. So the spinning queue is exactly what it sounds like. Okay, when you get to the spinning queue, do not get frustrated. Do not, it's going to be a little bit frustrating. It's going to be weird going around. And the first thing that's going to open up at the bottom, it's going to say when it finally, it's going to refresh. It's going to refresh on its own, so do not refresh once you get to the spinning queue. It's going to continue going. Do not refresh. It's refreshing on its own. First thing you're going to read is over an hour. So it's going to be over an hour before you can get in. Do not lose patience. A lot of people lose patience. It takes anywhere between a few minutes all the way up to about 15 or so minutes before all of a sudden it starts going to give you the time when it's going to start dropping. It can drop from over an hour to 5 minutes. It can drop from over an hour to 58 minutes. But keep your patience, okay? Because what happens is people are getting sent into the queue. Then they have 15 minutes to register people, so they hold those spots once they're in for about 15 minutes. So you got to be patient, because it might say 58 and it might drop to 38 about 2 minutes later. So if you're not patient, you're going to log off. And I've seen a lot of people do this. They log off, they get frustrated, I'm not going to get in. And they could have been next in line. They could drop really, really quick. It can actually go back up too. It can go back down to 15 and then also go back up to 25. I know it frustrates people. I don't know why it does that, but I always tell people, practice the patience. Make sure that you're very, very patient, and after a while you're gonna get in, and then you're gonna be able to register. Sometimes it's going to tell you what is sold out right away. If you're in within the first 30 minutes, everything should be ready. Within the first 45 minutes, might be everything is open. In the first hour, it still might be that the things are open, but take a look at them, because you might want to go through. You're going to go through the registration process. In the very end, it's going to say it's sold out. Then you're going to have to go back in, so forth and so on. But that's it. So what I'm gonna do next is, because now we're gonna get into the registration and you're gonna start filling it out. So I'm gonna skip this part and I'm gonna go straight to my desk, and you're gonna see me, but I'm gonna be reading exactly what it asks. So let's go there. Okay guys, so I just logged into my account. Sorry with the cheaters, and they're a little bit off-centered, but view registration information. So once you log in, some of this stuff is going to be automatic. For example, email. So that you already have saved in. Your name, unless you want a nickname or something, but you can put that in there. Your date of birth. So remember, these are going to be the things that you're going to need for everybody else. By the way, Figgy decided he wants to look in, so I wanted to keep him in here. So your gender, male, female. This is the one that is going to be a little bit off, is the shirt size, because that I have skipped before, and I have talked to people who told me after they heard my videos, they thought the same thing because they actually skipped it also. So as you're registering, and I'm going to try to see it, but if it's going to be on this side where all of a sudden there's going to be a small box and it's going to say your shirt size. Remember, if you don't fill it all out, it's going to send you right back, and that's the one I've missed the most. But it's going to be the challenge shirt size, so it's going to be a click down bar. You're going to be able to get your shirt size. Remember, you can change that later on. You can even exchange it at the expo. There's a place for do that. So just remember that one. That one's the one that's not populated right away once you log in. The next is going to be your home address, so make sure you get that. It's not an important one unless you got something coming to your home, but make sure that you got that in there. Your mobile number, that's going to be just your regular phone number. And then the first page is going to be also the emergency contact. So make sure that you got that information, who the emergency contact is. If you're signing up your children, you're probably going to be the emergency contact. If you're running with your friend, you can make each other, whatever it is that you want to, but make sure that you have that there. Again, you can go ahead and change it later. And it's going to ask you, what is your relationship to that emergency contact? It's going to give you a whole bunch of lists, parent, friend, family member, so forth and so on. And then it's going to give you the acknowledgement that you're registered for an in-person race. And so you're going to have to say, yes, I acknowledge that. That's going to take you to the next page or the next part of the registration. Biggie's getting a little bit jumpy over here. So I'm going to make sure we put him here. All right. So it's going to ask you questions such as this. I'm going to make sure, again, it might not be all of them, and sometimes they change, but this is the ones that have been the most consistent ones. So, will you be competing in the military division? There is a drop-down bar if you put in yes, because it's going to ask you, are you Army, Navy, Air Force, so forth and so on. Will you be registering as an athlete with a disability? And if you put yes, then again, it's going to drop down. I believe it asks you, what is your, are you going to need assistance, so forth and so on. So when you register, you can put that in right there. What is your anticipated half marathon finish time? If you put in under 2 hours and a half, and I think it's usually like that. If you're doing the 10K, I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, if you put the lower one, it's going to ask you for proof of time. My suggestion is go ahead and put the over, because you can go in later and you can put in your proof of time later, so you can update that. One of the things I talked about, the race policy, the only difference when you read all the race policies for the individual races, almost everything, 95% of it seems to be the same. The only difference is going to be is when the deadline is to put in your anticipated, your proof of time. So that's the only thing. So you have up until a certain date to put in your proof of time. That way they can put you in your corral. So your anticipated half marathon finish time, again, make sure that they kind of correlate, because you can go in ahead and adjust it later on. They sometimes even ask you your anticipated pace, like, are you going to do the 10 to 12 miles, 12 to 14 minute miles, so forth and so on. So make sure that you got all that. Again, it's not that difficult. When it becomes a little bit more difficult is when you start wanting to get up there and you really want proof of time. So it's gonna prompt you there. But you're going to, you could be quick about it and probably put that in about 10-15 seconds. But again, those 10-15 seconds can mean a lot. So let's see. As a challenge participant, will you also be running the 10K? What is your anticipated pace? So that's where it asks you there. Are you a member of one of our affinity groups? And that is going to be, are you a pass holder? Are you a Magic Key? Are you a cast member? Are you DVC? There's going to give you a few of those. Don't know why, because it doesn't really make a huge difference. I think it's more for their statistics and so forth. How many total runDisney race weekends have you run? And it's going to give you like ranges 1 or 2, 3 to 4, that kind of stuff. And I think the biggest one is 11 plus. I'm actually at quite a few. I lost count. So what distances have you run? Click all that apply. So I've run basically every thing. So if you've only run a 5K, you can click on the 5K. If you run a 5K and a half marathon, click on those two. If you run a 10K and a challenge, click on those two, and then you can move on. But again, go as quickly as possible. You can go back in and edit it later. These are the ones that I don't understand, but they've been asking. Do you intend to stay at a resort hotel that's on property? And I always put, when it comes to Disney World, I do. Disneyland, I don't. It's just a little bit more expensive. I don't know why they ask that. I think it's more for statistics. I always think to myself, they should ask this after registration, because if they're going to be planning on opening up more rooms or holding more rooms, this is the time to do it, not before, because you don't know if you're going to get in or not. Who are you going to be traveling with during the race weekend? Are you going to be alone? Are you going to be with family? How many? So forth and so on. So they're going to be asking you those. Again, I don't know. I look at the statistics that maybe later on they sit there going like, we only had this much, these amount of people, but only this amount stayed on property. Most of these people didn't even need here, so forth and so on. I don't know, but it sounds like something that's more of a marketing thing, a business thing. So that's it. Then afterward, once you finish off, it's going to be the payment information. And sorry, before we get into the payment information, it's going to ask you if you, this is the time where I'm going to give you the different scenarios. So scenario 1 is you're just registering yourself. So this is the time it's going to say add another runner, add another race. So scenario 1A is going to be that's the only run. You're going to sign up for the challenge. That's all you got going on. So you're just going to click through. That's when you're going to go through the rest of the registration, which is only a couple more steps. If you are going to be 1B, which means you're going to want to add the 5K, and you really want to add the 5K, so you can add another registration. You can go back in there, add the 5K. If you didn't already do it, add the 5K. Then you're going to go to the final things, that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Scenario 2, you're going to be running with somebody that you have to run with. Like earlier we were talking about that child of yours that's 9, and they have to do the 5K with you. So this is where you're going to add another runner. Make sure that you got all this information. Should be an easy one for you. You're going to go ahead and sign them in, and then you're going to go through the process going towards the payment. So that's that. If you're going to be doing multiple runs, and you're going to do the same thing, scenario 1B, you're going to go back and you're going to basically add those 2 runs. Now here goes the deal. Scenario 3, if you have to do the 5K, but it would be good if you did the challenge too, but you got to get that 5K because you want to run with your child and so forth. All right, so let's say that's the scenario. So scenario 3 is going to be where you're just going to go ahead and you're going to register for the 5Ks there. You're going to click pay for them. We're going to go through the final steps. You're going to pay for them, and then you're going to go back in. You have 15 minutes from when you registered, when you got in, to go back in to sign up for the challenge. But again, that gets you out of the way for the 5K, so you've got the 5K out of the way, and that way you can go back in, and now it'd be great to do the challenge, but I really, really badly want to do the 5K with my child, so that's it. And so you just go back in. Again, it's going to populate a lot of stuff. You just go through the process, and you're going to be registered. It is going to ask you for a donation. It's going to be one of the next things, and it's usually the donation to the charity that's sponsoring it. So that's going to be there. I believe for this one, I want to say it's a YMCA. So you can make a donation there if you want to. Then you're going to be able to buy merchandise, and I'm going to go and show you some of the merchandise that they released, and so that way if you want to get it, again, my thought process is don't get the merchandise right there and then, because you can be in there for minutes and that can cost you a slot in the runs. I would always suggest that you go through it. You can go ahead and register. Once you register, you can go back, just log into your account. I'm looking at it right now when it's going to say dashboard on the top. Your events is next, and the last one is going to say buy products. You're going to click on the buy products, and when you click on them, I could see all my runs, and I can click on the runs that I'm registered for, and they're going to let me know what is available. So right now, for the ones that I have, is going to be the Disneyland Halloween half marathon, the Wine and Dine, and the marathon. So I could the marathon weekend. So I can click on any of those, and I can see everything there, and I can go back in. Like I can go right now, and this registration happened a while back. So so my suggestion is go back later, because again, this can take a while. And as you're going to see in a little bit, I'm going to show you some of the pictures. The pictures are not the highest quality. They never have the highest quality. Matter of fact, I'm looking at them small, but when I blow them up, it doesn't look good. So if you're looking at this on your big screen, it's probably not going to look the greatest, but at least it gives you an idea. With that said, the next thing is going to be your payments. This is when you're going to have to really work on that. And I said it earlier, those 2 payments processes, 2 possible payments, I'm sorry. So that way, if you have a credit card and a gift card, or a gift card and a credit card, whatever it is, and if one of them, it's gonna put a hold on one of them. So in case one of them doesn't work or the hold doesn't allow you to register for the next thing, then you're going to be able to get the secondary payment. And then remember, and I'm going to reiterate this again, is once you are registered, it's going to say thank you for registering. It's going to send you an email. If you don't see that thank you for registering, it just spins or whatever, you may not have gotten in. The only way, again, you get in is if you get that page that says thank you for registering and you get the email. Again, take a screenshot of each one of them. That way you have proof. And of course, later on, you're going to have, even on your Disney gift card, if you look at the page, there's a Disney gift card page. You can see what you paid for it. And of course, your credit card, debit card, you will be able to see that statement, and you're going to be able to have proof that you paid for that. But that is about it on what we see here. So at the very end, I'm going to basically say this again. I said it a little earlier, now I'm going to say it again. Be patient and wait until you get that thank you for registering, you're registered, whatever it is. Take a snapshot. If you don't have you can't get a snapshot for whatever reason, take a picture. Now with your phone you can do that, camera, whatever it is, take a picture of that, because remember, you're not finished until you get that thank you for registering. And then you want to get proof of it, because it can happen that all of a sudden it drops from your registration. I don't know why, but it drops from your registration, but you have the proof. If you have the proof there, it doesn't matter once you get there. If you have the proof, you can sign the waiver at the expo, and they're going to get you your bib anyway. So that's the reason that you do that. So the last thing I want to do is let's go ahead and look at the pre-sale merch. Again, you know my thoughts on that. I register completely. I can go back in and buy. Remember, just go back into your account. You're going to click on the top. It says buy merchandise. It's going to tell you what you can buy. You really, really want to buy it. Remember, the things that you want to keep in mind about the merchandise is that once you buy it, you cannot return it now. They do not allow you to return it, okay? Unless it's a wrong size or it's broken. That's the only thing that you can do. And if you have discounts, so in this scenario, you have Magic Key, they give you the discounts, or you get 10% off if you use your credit card. You do not get that when you pre-order. When you order at the expo, when you buy at the expo, then they give you those discounts. But when you pre-order, you do not get the discounts, and you cannot go there and ask for it. Now you can, but they're going to tell you no. But you can go ahead and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Maybe 1 out of 100 is going to get that discount, but you never know. But just keep that in mind, and let's take a look at it. Well, we start off with just a weekend jacket. Looks actually pretty cool, but this is just a composite. A shirt is just a weekend shirt. Again, it's just a composite of the weekend shirt. We have a hoodie. Again, it's just a composite, so it's not the actual hoodie. Pictures of those should come out shortly. I like this little bundle with the corksicle, the ornament, the sticker, and the pin. And then of course we have a half marathon. Here it is. It's a Spirit jersey, so that one's actually pretty cool. Let's see, we have still the Spirit jersey. And now we go on to the Ahsoka. This is the run, the Ahsoka t-shirt for the run. Again, it doesn't even see what kind of material it is, so forth and so on. We got a sleeveless little jacket here, and this is just a half marathon one. It doesn't show what the back looks like. This shirt looks a little bit stylish. It's got the half marathon, more stylish on the sleeves. And then we got Baby Groot. I've heard quite a few people that I've talked to said I need to get this Baby Groot. Looks very cool. Then we got this little bundle right here, the half marathon. Of course, they're probably going to be bundles for all of them. We have the Dumbo Double Dare, because Dumbo is still part of it, and he can fly. And look at me, I can fly Dumbo. And here's a Running Wild. This is the half marathon one. This is the one that kind of puzzled me a little bit, because Mickey doesn't have that kind of representation at Disneyland. Here we have the pin bundles. The first one is 13 bundles. And we have the Challenge Runner pin bundle. I think that's 3 of them, $64. And then we also have the 10K, the half marathon that we just saw on the last page, the 5K runner pin bundle. We have the Pandora Charms. We got quite a few of them. We start with the Challenge, the half, the 10K, And we also have the 5K charm. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. This is a long video, but I try to be as very thorough as I can with these videos. I want to thank you guys for staying with me this whole time. I hope, and I send magical luck to you to get into the races that you want to. Let me know if you got in. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. But next week, I'm going to go back to the regular videos. And actually, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be at Disney World already, so I might even make some videos from over there. So without further ado, create a magical day, create a magical run, and guys, see you sooner than later.